Hello everyone, welcome back to Kelly Mountain Woodworks. In today's video we're going to be building an epoxy cutting board. Before we get to building the cutting board though, I'm going to show you how I made this epoxy form that we're going to make the cutting board in. So I just bought a plastic cutting board off of Amazon. It was 18 by 30 and I picked it up for just $27. I started off cutting some strips 1 3/4 inches wide, and then I cut the bottom section of the form down to 14 by 20. I just used a countersink bit and then some drywall screws to screw the form together. After the form is screwed together, go around all the edges with some clear silicone. That way none of your epoxy will leak out of the form. Once the form is done, it's time to start getting the wood ready. I'm using this walnut that had a really big hole in the middle of it because I think it's going to look really nice filled with epoxy. I'd like this cutting board to have a epoxy river down the middle of it, so we're going to take it over to the bandsaw and just randomly cut a curved edge on both pieces that we're going to use. For this project I'm using Pro Marine tabletop epoxy and Black Diamond Pigments Emerald Green. Now that the epoxy is poured, we're going to heat it up with a torch just to pop all the air bubbles that have risen to the surface. Now that the epoxy is fully cured, we're going to take it over to the planer and get it planed down to its final size. You can provide handholds on cutting boards many different ways, but on this particular cutting board I decided to go with a 2-inch Forstner bit and just drill a hole in the corner. Now it's time to round over all of the edges. For sanding, I started out with 80 grit, then 120, then 180, then 220, then 320. Now it's time for my favorite part, applying the finish. The finish that I'm using today is a special blend that I make myself. It's very simple and very easy to make. It's just 2 parts beeswax to 1 part mineral oil. Well guys, that does it for the Green River epoxy cutting board. I sincerely hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channel.